sure there are many videos out there on how to do ball joints on a 40 Econoline, but this video is ours, so we're going to try to walk through this together and take you step by step. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is jack this 2007 40 Econoline off the ground. This is a E350 Super Duty. So yeah, a little heavier suspension, not much, but a little. All right, so I don't know why, but for the last 20 years, we've been jacking Econolines up, at least 20, 25 years, by this center bolt right here. So yeah, it seems to work every time. We try to put the center of the jack right here on the center of that bolt, and then we'll put some jack stands under it, of course, for protection. All right, let's get ourselves set up, and we'll jack it up, and then we'll get back to you. All right, so what I like to do is jack a vehicle up like this and then lower some of the weight onto a jack stand and then set the, okay, now I like to tighten up again and put the jack up just enough to also distribute the weight a little bit between the jack and the jack stand. And this helps me with safety. There, that's it, right there. So we're still on the jack stand on the I-beam, and we're still on the jack, and that's kind of a, double source of safety there. All right, let's get the wheel off. All right, let's remove our wheel. First of all, we need to even though most people should know this, it should be a no-brainer, but we're going to take this step by step. So we have to assume there are some people on here that have never done this before, or never done it to anything. Any vehicle. So bear with us. Let's see. Okay. First thing we want to do is figure out which socket it is. All right. For the stock lug nuts for the Ford Econoline, we're using a 7/8. So 7/8-inch socket, deep wall. You can use your lug wrench. Use whatever you got. We're using an impact today. If you're just working with hand tools, we have done this on the other side with hand tools just to prove that we could do it. But we are going into this side together on video with an impact. And this is just a battery operated impact, not the most expensive, but a Milwaukee. I realized today Milwaukee is not that good anymore, but any impact, that can keep up will work for this job. We've used impacts on other jobs, automotive jobs, and they've done quite well, especially battery-operated impacts, something I was very impressed by. I guess technology has come a long way. So anyway, 7/8, let's get this wheel off. Set our impact to a higher setting. There you go, one hand. Work the impact, no problem. We'll take this wheel off and get back to you. All right, we've taken the lug nuts off. We are all right. Yeah, that was one hand. All right. Let's see. All right, the first thing we're going to do is start locating some tools that we need to get this job done. So we'll go through this thing together and get what tools we need, what sizes we need and such. And one thing we want to note is we have this rotor on here. We're going to try to do this without removing the rotor. We're going to leave the rotor attached to the spindle, the steering knuckle. So we're going to leave it attached as an assembly. So we don't have to go into the bearings and all that. Remove this caving full with grease. We do have our brake. We need to remove that. We're not gonna take our brake line off. We're not gonna brake into the brake fluid at all. We're going to leave it attached also. That's another thing. Some people just get into this thing and just start removing parts, and then you get into a big big mess. And we don't want to do that today. So we'll get back with you in a second. Okay, right away we saw that we need to remove two cotter keys. All right, so we got a cotter key here and we got a cotter key right down there on the lower ball joint, which is right there. Okay, so we're going to need some type of pliers to remove that cotter key. And if you have vice grip, needle nose vice grips, they work really good. We just have a pair of regular needle nose, which right here, and we're just gonna work with that. I'm gonna bend it straight like this. I figure if I can do this one-handed while holding a camera, then it should work for most anybody to do this. Let's see. So we bend them straight. Careful not to bend them all up everywhere so that you can't get it to go through. You don't want that. Let's see. Okay. You want it to relatively stay kind of in shape. I guess working on vehicles like this takes a little bit of patience. Trying to do this without patience, it's pretty rough. All right, so got it through. You grab it on the back side. Try to pull it out like that. Got it. All right. Good. All right. Let's see what size socket we got here. 21's pretty tight. I guess, let's see, I got a 21 6-point socket. Might do it. And this is a 21 12-point, just in case there are people out there that are new to this. 12-point, 6-point. You can see the points in there. Obviously, 6-point is going to have a less likelihood of stripping out, so or stripping past your bolt, and that's what I like to use when I'm abusing these sockets by using an impact gun. And yes, there are impact sockets made for this job, and I am not using them. And you're going to see a lot of that stuff here because this is Shade Tree Automotive. This isn't, perfect. If it was perfect, we would be torquing things to the perfect specifications by the book, and we would be using the perfect sockets and the perfect tools the way they're supposed to be used from the manufacturer. We are not those people. There are other people making these videos that are meticulous about like that. We are a Shade Tree, which means we do what works, and that's it. All right. So we are going to go at this with a 21. Got it. All right. And we'll show you what's next after that. We're not going to even pop this off yet. We're going to put the nut back on, which is what we want to do most of the time anyway, so that we don't mess up the threads when we tap this off. Now there are tools for this, but we're not going to use that tool today because we don't want to mess up our rubber right here, and we don't want to take this rotor off. And this tool would be the tool we would use to remove this, which is a big clamp, stationary, non-adjustable with a bolt through it. So we put it on there like that and tighten it up, pull it down. So yes, we're not going to use this today, but for future reference, if you wanted to remove these tie rod ends, you could do that. Use that tool, and that'd be the tool for the job, but you'd have to remove this rotor because it's in the way. Yes, I'll show you otherwise how to remove this. All right. All right, if you notice, I turned the wheel toward the driver's side to expose it. I'm working on the passenger side. We turn the wheel to the driver's side to expose the back of the caliper here, the brake caliper. And so we can get back here and see what we have to do. Remember where we stopped at. We still have to remove our other cotter key, which is back and down here. And it's a little bit easier to get to right here if we get behind it. And working behind the wheel right now, behind the caliper, steering knuckle. Working left-handed too. Like I said, if I can remove this almost with one hand and left-handed at that, Hey, look, it almost pushed out, right? So I could go around and pull it out from that point. I think I would be okay doing that. Oh yeah, a pair of needle nose vice grips would come in handy with this. All right, so we got it out, and next up on the list, we're gonna find out what size this is right here. Let's see what we got. Oh, okay. I think we're gonna use a wrench on this. Some people right here at this point would use a socket, shallow socket right here, and of course, put their torque wrench on the end of it so that they could torque this thing back on. But we are going to use a wrench, and you can see our wrench is loose. So this is obviously a metric nut, and we on Shade Tree do not feel like going to get the metric size to fit it. So if I had to take a guess, I don't know. It's right around. I don't know, but it's pretty big. 27 to 30 millimeter, 27 millimeter, something like that. We are an inch and an eighth right here. This is the size wrench we're using. Um, we're loose. We're not fitting correctly, but enough to take it off possibly. All right, gotta pull this to us. Okay, we'll get back when we get that off. So note that is an inch and an eighth or whatever there is metric to match. Um, and you know, you can figure that out however you'd like. And then we're going to do the next crucial set of bolts, which would be the back of the caliper bracket. We're not taking the caliper loose from the bracket. We're leaving the caliper attached to the bracket. That would be these little bolts right here. They probably take an Allen or a Star. I can't remember right now, but we're not getting to those. We are taking these off. All right. Let's just take a look and see what they are. Oh, look. We got lucky quick. They are 21 millimeter. So what are we looking at here? 21 millimeter, three different bolts, two for the caliper bracket, and one that we took off first, which was for the tie rod end, which is right there. Okay, so that make that note of that. All right, so next up, you probably want to add a stool, a little stepping stool, a little bucket, or a little box, or pan, or something tall enough that you can get in here and set down. This is a little cheap mop bucket I had my tools in. I imagine a 5-gallon bucket would probably work good. You want to take it so you can set your caliper on it so that you don't have to disconnect your brake line, okay? So you don't have to break into this and bleed the brakes and let air in and all that crap. You don't want to do that. Oh, and you need some type of crowbar and or tire tool and or a big screwdriver like I have here. Let's see. To open this caliper a little bit. See, you want to stretch this caliper open just a little bit. And the reason why you want to do that is so you can relieve pressure off of the rotor so that when you go to put this thing back on, it's effortless. In other words, you don't have a big problem sliding it back in place. You need to relieve a little pressure from the brake pads. And so careful not to damage your brake pads. You want to jam whatever you have between here, between the caliper right here and the center of your rotor. Your rotor has these center slots in it like that. You want to put it in between the caliper center slot and the center slots of the rotor right there. And you want to take it and put it in there. And you want to pry back gently on your caliper like that. Very gently, see? Prying back and the caliper's moving. There. That means I'm pushing that piston back, that caliper piston right there back. That's what you want to do. So I'm doing it again here. It's going back kind of easy. And this is, believe it or not, how they change your brakes at the shop. They don't open these lines and delete them and all that. They push these calipers back and they open the reservoir under the hood where you put the fluid in and just push these back. And then they change these pads and then they put this thing back together and then they push the pedal on the brakes and get it back after they add a little fluid or remove fluid sometimes depending on how the system is and what's going on. And yeah, but anyway, this is the basics of how you would change your brakes easily without breaking this line open and bleeding it and stuff. In the old days, people were trained to open these lines every time and then have to run this bleeder valve and have a guy in there pumping your brake 3 times and holding it and letting air out of the lines. That's the way in the old days they were trained to do brakes. But now people are smart. Now you can push, no, whatever. You get the point. So we got this caliper back. Now we just need to take it off. I'm going to set it right here. But first, we're going to remove this crucial line here, which will drive your computer nuts if it gets broken or damaged. And you don't want to do that. This is for your ABS / traction control and all that, and special systems on the Ford and other vehicles have this. So you want to take the little rubber grommets out of their holster here, get your line here, and then you want to depress it here and remove it. The plug is plastic punched to the frame right here. In other words, it has a little tit that holds it to the frame, but you want to remove the plug out of by pressing this little tab and pull it up. You want to remove this plug from the truck itself side. All right, so I'm gonna hold on for a second here. All right, so I'm gonna remove this clip right here, right there. I'm gonna push down on it with something that I have, and then pull up. It works good if you have both hands free. So, yeah, just set this plug out of the way, and then you have this plug back here. There are 2 ways you can do this. You can push a little plug behind here and pull upward, or you can wiggle the plastic tit out of the frame like that. I would only advise you do that a few times. I'm going to leave this out for now. This is how you would normally take this plug off, in case you don't know. You would pull back on that or slide something in between that and sever that. Just push up on that so you could pull the plastic off of that. So you see it up close now. All right. So, but we opted to take the whole thing off, so we're just going to let it hang for now. We're going to get something on these caliper right here, and here. Those 21 millimeter. We're probably going to use this big impact if we can get it in here. Looks like we can. All right. That's good. Put that guy aside. Down here we got one. Very bottom. Now remember, your caliper is going to try to drop off on you, so you want to hold back on it. All right, we got that one loose. Caliper we're holding with one hand. Take it off. Leave your brakes in it like this. Look. Set it up here on a bucket so you're not pulling on the line. There. Perfect. It's out of the way, so you can't damage it. So you can see how the pads are and how it's all set up. And then this is the bracket. And now you have the spindle right here, free. So we're going to take this whole assembly off right here with the spindle. So all we need to do is finish this, right? Removing this nut right here. Look. Remember, we've already loosened that with our wrench, our 1 1/8" wrench. 1 1/8". So we're not going to take that all the way off. We're going to take it loose, but not off. Okay? Right. Get it to about right there. Somewhere up in there. Right, flush. Okay, so we can tap this very lightly, different areas, and get it to break loose and fall down, but not on our foot, off. So we leave that. All right. Now, we can't turn the wheel right now. We can turn the wheel from inside the vehicle, but, so yeah, the tie rod in here, you can still get to it, although it's not ideal. It's not an ideal spot, but you can still get to it. I guess it'd probably be easier for you just to turn the wheel straight again. There's a reason why you have to do that, and I'll show you in a minute. Um, let's see. Let's turn the wheel straight, and we'll get back to you. All right, so we straighten the wheel out again, and we can now get to the tie rod in easier. And we can also take out our bolt here that holds our top bushing, right? This is our bushing. It's made out of a different type of metal than usual metal. I think some are made out of a real soft metal. Some of them are made out of a cast of some kind. But what I'm saying is they're brittle, and you can break them. So when you go to try to get these out and you try to pry them out, remember you can break off the lips. Not that that will affect much, but it can if you keep scarring it all the way up and crack it and stuff. So I just found them in the past to be brittle. So just, don't go shoving a chisel in there and trying to smash it open, get it out. Anyway, so this bolt, so we need to find out what size that is. And then all we have left to do is start popping things off like this. And then our ball joint on the bottom. So we'll go after this and this in a second. And then let's see. Hold on, y'all. I'm distracted for a minute. Let's see. Yeah. 14 millimeter, I'm guessing, right? Nope. Really close, though. Let's see. Let's try 15. Is this 15 or 16? 15 millimeter. Yes. 15 millimeter is the right size for this long bolt here. It's not that long, but a long bolt to take off that bushing. And then we'll get that, come back. All right, we are ready to go with this. Well, we got that loose. Could have been better if we would have done it with two hands and I wasn't filming this project, but yeah, it's all right. Okay. This out. We'll put that over here. I know where everything is. We'll get that out in a little while. Show you how that works. Sometimes they give you another nut for this in your ball joint kit, believe it or not. If you're buying a ball joint kit. So it doesn't mean I'm going to tear this nut up because it does belong to this tie rod in, and I got to put it back with the tie rod in or use another nut. And I don't know that I want to do that. And sometimes you get a kit that doesn't have anything in it except for what you ordered exactly. So I have to tap this off to get this to pop loose. So back up a minute, a little bit. Tap in here. Now remember, we were supposed to use our fork. We have a fork to put in here. We have all kinds of different pullers to get this off. But we have this spindle on, or this rotor on, and it's kind of in our way. So we can't do it that way. So we're going to try to tap it like this and see if we can get it. There it is, look. All I had to do was hit it there for it to come loose. And you get lucky like that, people. And I turned this thing over in case I was going to, beat on the bottom side of it. So we pull it off, put our nut back on, move it out of the way safely. All right, so now we can move this freely. Look, we're free to move about now, right? And that's our upper ball joint. That's our lower right here, upper or lower. We're going to tap this to get it loose. How are we going to do that? We got to put this to where we can afford to tap on it without fixing it to where we can't take it off. I don't want to beat this up too bad and have it to where I can't unscrew this, and this is loose now and it's just spinning and there's no way to take it off. I don't want that to happen. So I can either take this all the way off, take a chance and beat directly on a stud, which sounds pretty, exciting to me, but Remember, if I do that, this thing will fall off on my foot, or it needs to be braced with something because it can fall off. So I think we're just going to leave that on for now. Tap on right here and see if that helps shake us loose. All right, so we tapped here and here to shake it loose, and nothing's shaken so far. So let's see what happens if we get that to right here to where I can still unscrew it and we can still tap it. This ball joint definitely comes with a new nut, and I would venture to say that you definitely probably want to pair up the new ball joint with the new nut because they're obviously fit that way coming from whatever factory they're coming from. I think that loosened us up. I think we are just stuck up here now. Hmm. Let's see what's going on here with this upper. See if we can get that out. Let me show you what to do on that. I am going to pry this ever so slightly. Look, you can see my little bar is actually moving this open a little bit. It does move it. And I can put it under and pull. Look. Look. You want to do it very carefully, though. You don't want to break the ears off of this. Like I said, it's made out of some kind of junk metal. I don't know what it's made out of. It's just real soft. Or hard and brittle, rather. All right, so we are kind of stuck right here. Very lightly. Okay, now we have this part right here that we're stuck at. Want to go around over there, buddy? All right, so now it's all about taking the pressure off and trying to get it out. There you go. Shake it out like that. That's your bushing up close if you've never seen one out. Now it's out. So it's got a relief cut here. The bolt holds it in right here. Once you put that bolt all the way through, it goes through there. And a lot of times here, it'll tell you something that happens wrong. It makes things difficult for you and other people is when people get in a rush and they go to put this thing back on. You put it down all the way and they let it sit flush against here and it's down, it's ready to go, and they put their bolt through. The bolt hits somewhere up here or down here and diverts the threads to screw in a cross thread into your frame, or into your your I-beam here. And what happens is it cross threads and messes up your bolt, and then you kind of screwed up. You gotta get a new bolt and tap it and chase the threads and do all kind of weird stuff to get it to fit again right. So don't do that. When you put this in, be easy with it. Only put it into about right here and leave some of this sticking up. Then you'll find the bolt goes through properly. That's just a tip for you when you put this back together. Don't force it. Good point. All right, so this is loose now. Unless I thought that we had gotten this bottom arm loose, but I guess we didn't. So pause that, come around this side. All right, you can see our nut is still loose. We can still unscrew it. We don't want to get stuck, like I said, with the nut too tight on the threads, where we now need to use a wrench to try to get it off again, and it's not free turning by hand. And this thing is now loose, and we have nothing to hold this whole post from spinning. That's what we don't want, because we don't want to have to take the jack down and put it underneath here and try to stop the post from spinning and all that. So let's get it back to a spot where we feel comfortable beating on it. Let's see. Probably right around there. Sometimes it's stubborn, folks. There it is. See? Took a while, but it came off. Now let's hope that we can get this to spin off. Yep, it's not spinning the whole post. Just that. So we're going to turn this camera off. We're gonna get this. Look, we're gonna get this to where we're holding up on it, and then we're gonna have a one-person turn. So it's gonna be hold it up with your body or hands, and then turn this off. You can still do it one person, but I can't do it with a camera and one person and show you what's going on at the same time. But you get the idea. And then we're gonna have to take this thing, go put it on our spot to remove. All right, so we'll get back to you in a second. All right, yeah, so it's off now. As you can see, the I-beam, the twin I-beam system, the I-beam is exposed right here. And for reference, as a bonus, if you don't know, and you need bushings back there, that's called the radius arm bushings, right? So you would take off that piece of steel with those two bolts right there on the frame, and then you would remove the radius arm nut on the backside. It's a big old nut about that big around. And then you remove those bushings, and then you replace those bushings. It comes with those bushings and a washer, and that's how you would do it to replace that, in case you needed to know and what it was called. The spring insulator is right here. This is something else that people don't really pay attention to, but it can make a squeaky, weird kind of noise inside the vehicle sometimes when these go bad, and it's raw spring rubbing on metal to metal and vibrating into the vehicle. That happens sometimes, and people don't pay attention to it. And most of the time, when you're running over a lot of bumps and potholes, that presents itself as a problem. And then while you also have this off, it's a good time to check, of course, your tie rod ends to see if it's any loose or having any play in it, shaky. And you can also check out your stabilizer bar bushings right here and right here. So this is one, the long elongating bushing that comes in the kit. And then this is the round bushing that you have to actually press in. For those of you that don't know, you would start beating this thing out from the backside, or use a press, which is like a C-clamp, to pull this thing out. But our video is mainly focused on right here, just in case you needed to know some of the names of these things and what to look for here. Then you kind of know. I'm giving you those tips in advance. Okay, so this is what we've done. We've taken that off. It's sitting right there ready for us to go to school on it. All right, we are up close here with the lower ball joint being the bigger one and the upper ball joint being the smaller one. That's what they are technically classified as, upper and lower. So if you have to order one or two, I mean, I think these things at the auto parts store are now $99 for a lower and like $59 for an upper by itself, and that is absolutely ridiculous. Do not buy them retail like that. Go online, go to eBay. They're all made in China, so you're not going to get something better with a better name. And you can get 4 of these for $30, upper and 2 uppers and 2 lowers. Look, like for instance, this Chinese brand. I mean, what are we working here? TRQ. Even those folks got a kind of a video on YouTube that you can go look at of a young guy changing these. Oh, granted, he doesn't show putting the lower back in and skips a few steps in the videos, but you can always look at our video or someone else that out there who made a video on it. But it's not hard, folks, especially when you have the right tools. So that's the upper, and that's the lower. So, yep. Now, you're going to need a kit unless you want to beat on this thing forever with a hammer and a chisel, a punch, put it on a vise and things like that. You can do that. I've done it before. It's a pain in the butt and a knuckle buster. Or you can buy this kit, and this is the Chinese, well, they're all Chinese versions, but this kit is a off-brand name, and there it is. I just bought that for like $35, and it does work, and it doesn't break on the first use unless you misuse it. Some of the other brands or whatever might, but this one did not so far. You're going to need this thing too. So all together, it's going to cost you about 50 bucks, 60 bucks for both of them. This one is OEM brand, which they're pretty proud of their stuff. This is what the auto parts store lends you when you go rent them and stuff like that. But anyway, this is a $20-something adapter kit. This is the part number, and this is Ford's Econoline adapter kit. So this was meant to use in addition to the brand name here, C puller. That's here. So I got an aftermarket C puller and another brand name kit to match this. So these two are supposed to work together. It sounds complicated, but really it's not. The most complicated part about all of this is trying to find out, is any C puller, clamp puller, any ball joint puller as they call it, or ball joint press, are they all the right same size? Are they the right size? Are they wide enough to fit in my application? Are they good enough? Are they going to break? All the reviews out there and everything. No one tells you, yes, this is the right one to use. No, this is the wrong one to use. So if you're a first-time buyer of this kind of deal, you're going to run into all of that. So far, all I can tell you is that this one here, made in China, who says it and all, is the right size. And there are hundreds of them online just like it. Duplicate, Are they all the same? Probably. And this is what it looks like. It's bigger than the picture shows. Look, this is my hand. This is the clamp. This is how big around it is. What's it look like in conjunction to my that big? See? So I hope this helps somebody because I didn't have this information available for me. They do make these bigger, longer. The only time I've ever seen was you had to buy it separately, and it's much longer. It's like 1.5 of these long to put together. I don't think you need that big because I think you could fit in there just fine with this one, which is the standard. So you're going to take some of these adapters and put them together to work on this, combined with these OEM Ford adapters. And this is what it gives you. So you can pause that and look at it. Get an idea, study it ahead of time before you go into this so your vehicle's not down. We've only been down less than an hour now making this video, and we've got everything apart already and almost ready to press these out and put them back in and put it together. So 2 hours? Yeah, maybe per side. Yeah. Anyway, we'll show you what we're doing here and we'll put the stuff together and get it going. All right, so I got some penetrating oil. I chose PB Blaster, but you can use whatever you want, or you can skip this step. It's up to you. I need to get this snap ring off on the bottom of the lower ball joint. That's the bigger ball joint. So there is a snap ring on this side. On this upper ball joint, there is no snap ring. You may get these ball joints with or without grease fittings that go right here. Okay. These had blank plugs for grease fittings because there are no grease fittings in it, but there are some that are just blank. There's no grease fitting. So that's just a factory preference. I don't know. Let's see. First thing we're going to do, like I said, is see if we can get this snap ring off. Right here. I'll use my needle nose to get it off. Spin it around to the top so I can see it first off. Does that camera have enough light? There's a light to turn on right there. You can turn on. Okay, see, I'm spreading it apart with a pair of needle nose, and I'm spinning it around to the top. Okay, now I'm going to try to get this off with needle nose. Or, you know what? You could just use a screwdriver to get it off if it really irritates you. You could just grab it, twist it, bend it up like that. The way I would have done it at the age of 19 or so. Take it off and just discard it because it comes with a new one, okay? Next step, if you're using a press on this, you want to remove anything that's on the bottom. Grease fit, Zerk fit, and whatever. Take that off. Get rid of that. All right, let me get a bigger pair of pliers for that. All right, Zerk fitting out. All right, so you get that out. You want this bottom to be flat right here. You need it to be flat because you got to use, you got to press on this and get it out. So you don't, you know. All right. So this thing is ready to take out. You see up close here. There's nothing in the front of it, only the rear, and I removed that snap ring, so it comes out by pushing up on it this way. That would be considered up from operator's position. All right. So let's see here. Stop that for a minute. All right. So whatever kit you bought here, down here, whether it's the Chinese kit, the other Chinese kit, or the other Chinese, it doesn't matter. Whichever one you bought, it's going to come packaged like this. Take it out, unscrew it, turn it around, put it together. Okay, now you got your C and you're ready to go to work on it. You got a socket that fits it. Mine is 22 millimeter. This one may be also, I think with 22 millimeter, it could be 7/8 maybe. 13/16, so 3/4. I don't know. I'm just throwing spitballs. Let's see if they stick. Hold on a second. All right, so no, sorry about that. We had a 7/8 on there the first time. It's actually 7/8 or 22 millimeter that fit this. 22 or 7/8. I didn't want to give you the wrong information. Sorry, guys. All right. So now you know which size fits it, either or. You put that on your impact, or if you're using a ratchet or a breaker bar on the end of this, then you definitely want to put this, you want to have this in a vise. You can't, I don't think you can do that with this on the ground. Maybe if a bunch of people are helping you hold it down to turn this C-clamp, maybe you could have a big wrench around this, like a monkey wrench or pipe wrench or something. And you could be turning this at the same time. I guess you could do it that way. There again, it's a pain in the butt probably, but it's still better than beating this out with a hammer. So there you go. And this business about people saying, well, I can only get this so far and then I have to beat it in the rest of the way. No. If you spent the money to buy something like this, you should be able to put this thing in all the way and take it out all the way. You shouldn't have to beat anything in because it ran out of space. You just didn't have the right tools or the right adapters that they make money off of selling you. So make sure you get that ahead of time so you don't wind up only being able to use this half the way and then beat it in the rest of the way, because that's a double pain in the butt. All right, we're going to use this kit, this piece right here, 27166E. Go here and see that you can see what's going on here. See, and you should be able to push this thing out far enough to allow it to keep going. You should be able to put this on. Look at this. See this setup? Should be able to keep this straight. And I'm doing this by myself, so if you have another set of hands, it's probably good, but you can do it yourself if you have to. All right, so my clamp is rested against there. I'm here. I'm ready to go, actually. I don't see any reason why this would damage this device. So I'm going to put it like that. I'm going to set this on. Tighten. See what I'm doing? Look, folks. See it going down? What I'm doing is I'm actually pushing this thing out from the bottom. So this clamp can be used both ways. So what am I doing here? I'm removing the bottom one first. The bottom ball joint, the biggest one first. And there it is. If you unscrew this a little bit, you see how it was tight? It was a tight deal where one had to go into another to get it off. Well, there it is, and it's off. You see what was pressing against the back. So yeah, this was the right one to use first. Let's put it back. All right. Now we have have to do the upper. Same concept. We're going to try to use this one right here. 27166F. The other one's 27E. This one's F. So I'm going to use tool F because it should technically this teat should go through here once it's reached its end. So let's put it on. Put it on first. Push this in its place. Get it ready to go. Tighten it up. And watch out for your line up here too. All right. It looks on there and your line's out of the way. You don't want to damage this. Like I told you, you don't want this sensor going haywire. Your computer going haywire. All right. Hold back on your clamp. Come see over here. You can see what's happening back here. Shoot this way. Can you see this? All right, it's out. And there is your other ball joint, your upper. Right? Here. See that? All right. Let's take a break. Remove this. This is the new one. We need to remove this boot. I would take this off so you don't damage it. But you don't want to get any dirt in there either. It might affect the life, you know. All right, so put the boot aside and kind of get an idea. We got to start it this way, and there's no particular order in which way it goes in. It's not, you know, no order. Just set it up like it's trying to go in, and then we'll figure out what to do from there. Let's see. All right, forged kit, the Chinese kit, the same thing. All right. The center of that. This big one right here is relatively the same as this one, the smallest. So we're gonna turn this around because we don't want to remove this. We don't want to remove this. I don't feel like breaking off this little bitty bolt here and then having this bracket cause me a problem. So I'm going to go around it and I'm going to do this. Turn the whole apparatus around. Now I'm going to use this tall one that came out of that package to push it in. I'm going to do it like that. Right? The only question is, what do I put on the back of here to make up the difference? Well, it doesn't really matter what I put on the back of here, as long as I put something. But it can be very shallow because we only have, let's see, I could use this because we only have all right, let me take it off, put it on. All right. I can use that because this ball joint is not going to push all the way down and out. It's going to stop flush. So we just need to get something that sits flush. All right. It's very, very tight. But it works, look. Okay, so the only thing you want to watch out for Take me a while to get this set up for you guys, but I wanted to show you all the different scenarios that we ran into and different ways we can actually do this. All right, let's try it. All right, we got started. We went in a little bit. We got all of our threads taken up here. I was leery about starting halfway like this, but it pushed down pretty easy to get past that. Now we can keep going. You can see it going down right here. And it's not really hard or difficult, but I just want to make it easy. I don't want to break anything. I don't want anything binding too bad that's going to hurt anything, and I don't want to buy these ball joints over again. And I don't want to have to buy this C-clamp kit or this press over again. All right, got that sound and that feel as if it bottomed out. And I'm looking at it here. It was never flush. The old one wasn't that flush. It was about like that. But right here, I'm noticing it's in all the way. All right, you can see inside. And so this worked. This technique worked. It wasn't the most friendly, but it worked. All right. And we didn't have to take anything extra off. So that's one ball joint. Upper is installed. I'm comfortable with that. Okay. Now I'm going to put my dust boot back on. You want to do that and keep that clean. Right. See, if you were rushing through this and nobody said anything different, you might put your toolkit right against the rubber and then cut this rubber in half. And now you have dirt and trash getting in there on the road. And you cut these ball joints down, their lifespan down again. And so the next guy's got to deal with that when you sell the vehicle, unless it goes, All right. So here's our other one. We'll take this off and we'll get back to you. All right. So all you need to do is get in there good with a little something. The end of the needle nose, like I used, or you could use a little pocket knife even, maybe to pry it open. But yeah, okay, so you take the grease cap off this, the dust boot, and you have to do this again, right here. It's got to go in. So put this aside, and let's see what our setup is now for this. Now, next step, let's grab from the orange kit, the smaller one. Fits over, sits on the ball joint properly on the lip. With the one from the orange pack, let's get our device clamp, put it over it. Now we have to do something here, so I think what we're going to do is take from the Ford kit right here and grab this little ring, whatever this is. What is this? 27166A, whatever. Put that right here because it looks like it will accommodate what we need. And let's grab this universal piece from the orange kit that all these kits should have if they come with a C-clamp kit. So it looks like that'll fit on there. So orange piece and red box piece, Ford piece together work. And we'll see if we can get that in there. Wow, it's tight. Okay, let's tighten our. All right. Let's try to get that as straight as we can. I'm going to take this really slow. I'm going to make sure we don't have any real problems with this. But yeah, there's a setup right there. All right. You want to get closer, you can see. We're going to watch this right here and see if that goes in. Yeah, it's starting to go in. Let's back off. Check for signs of wearing out or any problems. Because it's pretty tight. I mean, I expected that with the lower ball joint. I don't expect the lower ball joint to be easy. You got a lot of space here. Oh, look. We're almost about to bottom out here. See? Make sure it's not bottoming out on me. Look. Does this accommodate it? Look. Yeah, it does. That ring's big enough. Okay. Let's get this set back up. It is working. And I did take it in a pretty good bit. I apologize for all that noise in the background, folks. That's road crew working. Let's see. All right, let's take a break for a minute, and we're ready to come back in a second. Do this. All right, getting back, folks. Got everything set up, ready to go. We need to get the ball joint, the lower ball joint, which is ready to go on the rest of the way. Those notches right there. This is the bottom of the ball joint right here. It needs to go all the way in and bottom out on this. And it's not there yet. And that's the hardest part. I think that's the part where people stop and say that it can't go any further, so they start beating on it. So we're going to try to make it go further than that. Ooh. Obviously, make sure your drill is in the down forward position. All right, set up. Okay. All right, there we go. Moving. Appears to be going in, folks. Reach the bottom out point. You can feel it when it bottoms out. How's that? All the way in. All right, so then you get your new snap ring out, which is in your kit. Should come in your kit. I don't know if you need lessons on how to put on a snap ring. All right, so I put my dust boot back on. Kind of a pain in the butt. It's done. We'll get all this, get our nut ready here to go on. And we will get our cotta key that came with that ready to go. So we're going to put that on, the new cotta key. All right, all in all, the Ford OEM kit, just for the extra pieces, adapters, I guess you would call it. Yeah, the adapter set, joint adapter, ball joint adapter set. So far, pretty good. Most of it was used to take it off. Did it work? Yes, it worked. I don't know what this is for still, because I haven't been able to use it yet, really. I used this finally, so we know what that is. We use that and that, this. Didn't use this, or that. But it works. So yeah, $20, $25. Yeah, it's a must-have if you own an Econoline, or like I do, a few Econolines. Save that. This Vever turned out to be worth it a lot more versus buying one from Harbor Freight or all these other places that sell them for expensive prices. I think AutoZone's like $170, something like that. They get the OEM brand, $200. I've seen this thing cost $400, and this one costs $35 or $40, I think, for a Chinese kit that works. And like I said, I think they're all Chinese kits. Even this OEM brand is probably made in China. It just depends on which Chinese shop you want it made at. I mean, the cubicle on side A or the cubicle on side B, on the West Bank or the East Bank of China. I don't know. But obviously, you know, this is probably made out of our cash for clunker steel that was shipped over there during the, '08 administration. So here you go. Hope I didn't say anything that would offend anybody. But this would be the reason why we don't have automobiles anymore, or at least up and coming in 2030. Anyway, so this Vever or Viver or whatever this is works. All right, we got it in place. Like I said, it takes a little bit to pick it up and put it in place. A little bit of strength. I think it weighs about 80 pounds or more. I don't know, a little bit more than 50 pounds. So got it in place. Got it just turned a few threads, and then that's it. So we got to put this insert back in if we can, or at least start it. And then I'll show you what I was talking about putting it down. Here it is here. Now we put a little penetrating oil on all of this to help out, if anything in the future. So here, cameraman, hold this for me. All right. Got to show where I'm moving this to the right position to get this started. Okay. Got a good start there. Remember I was talking about you don't want to put it down too far, because look at the point where it stops. Look, zoom in, look into there. Yeah, see? You go down to about right there and start, just hang back a bit. Don't put it in too much further than that. And then you'll see if you can get your bolt, this bolt here, spray that down, started in here, look. If you get it started a few threads, like I just did, then good, you're on the right track. Now you've fit it in there. And then now after you got it started a few threads, you can lightly tap it down a little bit, but not much more than that, because that's about where it stops. Hope you understand that. So it doesn't cross thread that bolt. It guides you in the wrong way. Of course, before you tighten this up first down here. You want to always put this in, tighten this first. And I think you're supposed to torque this to somewhere around 112 pounds, 111 pounds. But I just don't use a torque wrench on it. I tighten it down to what I think is about right. So I'm sure my torque is between probably 90 and 140 foot-pounds, somewhere in that range. Probably closer to 110, right around the area that they want me. So then I tighten this to about, I don't know, 60 foot-pounds, somewhere around that range. Maybe less, maybe 50 foot-pounds. But I'll show you once we tighten this up. The first thing we're going to do is start with our 1.125" wrench right here. Get this tight. Get it tight enough. Tighten it down. Put a cotter key in it. All right, we'll come back to you when we get this stuff secure. All right, so we got it tight. a little over 100 foot-pounds, or right at. We're going to put our new cotter key in. Remember, you can always stick a slotted, anything slotted in here before you tighten this nut, and it might take a little force, but you can turn this ball joint spindle stud here to face the cotter key wherever you want it to face. If you wanted it out the side, it's fine. If you want it out the back, I usually just leave it where it is and work with whatever it falls on, which is right up in this area, I think. Cotter keys right there, yeah. So let me turn this nut a little bit more to accommodate my cotter key. But anyway, yeah, I mean, you can turn it to fit. Yeah, look, there you go. And I know they say they want the cotter key facing the back like this and all that fancy stuff. You don't have to do that. Trust me. The truck's not gonna know the difference. It might make it a little harder to get the cotter key out in the future for other technicians, but you know, if it's your truck and you worked on it, I believe you can put it wherever you want. There's no code there. So, yeah, this is where we're going to be, right here. All right, so we're going to flip this a little bit, leave it down. That'll work for me. That works for me fine. It can't go anywhere. All right, so our cotter key is in there, and spin this correctly. I think this is okay. See how this ball joint pin is turning? Watch. You want to stop that from happening when you tighten this. You don't have to, but you want to, because it's a good indicator of how tight you got this. Your ball joint is not supposed to pivot there. It's supposed to pivot. Okay. So I'll bolt all the way up. Like I said, you want to take it easy with this. All right, I'm going to set this on mode 1, and I've tested this plenty of times, and it will do between 50 and 65 foot-pounds of torque on mode 1 after it's already broken in. And that pretty much stopped turning right there. And now you'll notice that when I'm turning this, that does not pivot anymore. What's actually pivoting is the ball joint itself inside where it's supposed to, which keeps this really tight, and that's how you want it. You don't want any of this stuff to be loose. All right, so that's done. No torque wrench and no special torque. Next thing we're going to do is, back up cameraman a minute, is we're going to get this brake system out of distress. So let's get this ready. Remember what this did. Remember this went right here in this slot. Remember that. Remember I said you don't want to do that too many times because you mess up the chance of it holding down inside. But it's okay. And you can put your top plug in there. And remember, this clips here after you've gotten this correct. So let's put this where it belongs, up here, right here like this. Get your bolts. All right, that's one started. Get the bottom one started here. It's all right. Come over here, cameraman, and film this. All right. I'm going to set this down back where it belongs. Okay. All right. Now, where are we here? And we're going all the way to here, right? Obviously, you don't turn that sharp. It'd be cool if you could get a vehicle to turn that sharp, but I'm testing these lines to see if they're okay. Look, and they're put on correctly. So I didn't twist this thing around a few times and spin it around too much to get these lines off, and they're not. So that's what you want. You want them to be. You want them to flex where they're supposed to. So that's where it would ride. All right. Sorry, we had to keep dumping memory and battery and all kinds of stuff. You know, with today's technology, it's supposed to be so great and everything. But sometimes I just get the funny feeling that our technology best benefits our government versus us. Ooh, that's a controversial statement, isn't it? Anyway, let me finish this job. So we're back to the 21 millimeter, and we're going to tighten our brakes. Remember, I did not put the steering on yet. I didn't hook the steering up. I didn't hook the drag link up yet, or the tie rod in, because I want to be able to turn this to my to make my job a little easier. So I'm going to set this to about 90 foot-pounds, what I think is about 90, around 80 or 90. All right, that's what I think it is. All right. And just for reference, if you're still here, I do torque my lugs, but I do them to 100 foot-pounds and then a little bit past, right, to about 120 to 140. They want you to torque these lug nuts to 140. That's Ford's factory specification, is what I think. So 140 is what they want, just in case you have a torque wrench and you want to do it professionally. We do it professional too. We just do 100 and a little past. I mean, I hardly doubt that the little guy with the impacts is seriously going to go walking around your vehicle and use a torque wrench every time. Maybe sometimes, but not every time. Maybe when the customer's looking, but maybe not when the customer's not looking. Get it? So, yeah, chances are 90% of America has been riding around on untorqued lugs. And I don't know, after owning 53 cars in my lifetime, I would say, yeah, I've driven around with some serious issues. And I can say that I've worked on entire vehicles without any torque wrench at all. And a lot of mechanics have. So, all right, so next, put that tie rod in place. Give me that PV blaster right there. I want to put a little lubricant on here because I want a good seat when I tighten this down. In other words, when I torque it down by hand or by my own method, I want this to be clean. I want it to be, I don't want it snagging or getting rough. I want it to be lubricated. I want it to go down, and I want it to stop. I don't want to turn it and then it get loose on me again. So I lubricate it. All right. We'll torque that down in a minute. All right, let's see. Scoot back a little bit. Let me get back in here. You can cut that for a second, and we'll come back. All right, so we're just going to torque our drag link. Right around 60. That's what I call right around 60. Now, of course, we need to find where our cotter key goes in, but you people get the picture. I mean, that's where we're going to go in right there. Okay. This is done. All we have to do is put the wheel back on. And remember, when you hit the brakes, you're going to go down a little bit, and it's going to be spongy because the brakes aren't compressed yet, because they're still depressed from removing the tension before. And that's it. After that first pedal push, everything returns to normal. And you should have replaced ball joints, and you saved yourself probably $1,000 or more, a couple $1,000 from some rip-off shop ripping you off. And there you go. Thank you.